Hi everyone, let me quickly show how our powerful computer vision capabilities here at UiPath help you to truly shift left your UI test automation efforts. To do that, imagine the following scenario. Imagine it's day number 1 in your current sprint. And just in your sprint planning meeting, your UI and UX experts just come along and present their amazing UI design proposals for all the user interfaces that are planned to be implemented in the current sprint. So what usually happens is that you as a test automation engineer, you usually have to wait until software development completes the implementation of these user interfaces before you can start your UI test automation efforts. But that's no longer the case when you make use of our powerful computer vision capabilities here at UiPath. Now let me show you how this works. So let's imagine that this is the mockup our UI UX experts just provided to us. And as you can see, this mockup here is just a simple PNG file. It's an image. And it's all about the so-called UiPath banking application, or in short, the UI bank. And this application allows you to apply for a loan by entering here an email address, a loan amount, a loan term, a yearly income, an age, and then all what the user needs to do, the user needs to submit here the loan application to create a loan quote. Now that is the proposal of our UI and UX experts. And we as test automation engineers can now start our UI test automation efforts based on these mockups, based on the images that are provided by our UI UX experts. So how do we do that? Well, let me switch to Studio Pro in order to show you that. Now, Studio Pro, as you might already know, is our most advanced IDE for automation here at UiPath. Now let me go to my project called the UiPath Banking Application, or in short, the UI Bank. And as you can see, I already created a couple of test cases here. But let's do now one from scratch. All we need to do, make a right click on the folder, for example, select test case. And what we want to now do is we want to enter some loan data in our application. So let's create a test case that is called like that. Now, in order to create the automation based on the mockup, based on the image, all we need to do is we need to go to the ribbon, click on recording, and make use of our computer vision recorder. So let's do that. Let's click on it. What then happens, the recorder pops up. Let's move it to the right a little bit, and let's click on record. Then we select here the recording area. So what we are doing here is very simple. We just take an image of this mockup. Now we upload it to our Cloud AI server in order to identify all the UI controls we can find in that image, so that we are able to interact with all the controls as you can see here in that image. Now it speaks for itself that you can of course also do that with an on-premise server. So let's interact with these UI controls. So the first thing I want to do, I want to enter some email address. So let's go for example emeraldco@gmail.com. Now as a next step, I want to enter some loan amount. Let's go for 35,000. Then I want to select here from a drop-down box a loan term. So let's do that. Let's click on this control here and let's go for 5 years, for example. Then I want to perform a type operation again. So for the current yearly income field, let's go for 65,000, for example. And then I will also enter some age. Let's go for 32. Now that's basically it. So let's stop the recording. Let's save the recording. This then will redirect us back to Studio Pro. And as you then can see here, these are all the automations which just created. Here's the automation where we enter the email. Here is the automation where we enter the loan amount. And if I scroll down slowly, you can see all the actions I've just performed. So that's one way how you can create automation by making use of our computer vision recorder in one go. But you can also do it step by step. For example, click on the plus sign here, go to the search for CV, for example. And there's one thing I've missed interacting with my image. I didn't click on the button. So let's add here a so-called CV click activity. Now all we need to do here is we need to indicate here on scope. And what I want to do now in my scope, that means in my image, I select the button, also select the target to make it uniquely identifiable. And that's basically it. So that's now a set of automations we have created based on a mockup. Now, obviously, we cannot run it because we cannot run an automation based on an image, right? So now let's imagine that based on the mockup our awesome UI UX experts team created, our software development team now managed to create the corresponding UI in our web application. And here you go. And as you can see, our software development team actually did a pretty good job following the guidelines here from our UI UX experts. So now let's see how we can now run the automation we just created based on an image on this web application here. Now to do that, again, let me go back to Studio Pro, and we just need to make one switch. We go back here to our automation. We, for example, edit here the selector. Now we want to go away from the image and we want to select here, for example, Chrome as our target. And that's basically it. So we do not touch any of these automations as you have seen below. And now we are ready to just kick off the execution. So we click on Run File, then we communicate back and forth with our Cloud AI server to analyze the application. And then in 1 or 2 seconds, the automation will kick off. Here you go, we just enter the email address, we enter loan amount, the loan term, the yearly income, the age, we click on the button, and that's basically it. And that's the short story, how computer vision helps you to truly shift left your test automation efforts by enabling you to start automating user interfaces without really having access to the actual user interface.